Hi there.
Hey, Andrei, how's it going there?
Very good. Last day of KubeCon right now.
So you're still in the US, right?
Yeah, in Atlanta.
Lucky you. My flight was canceled, as you know. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I heard that many flights were canceled because of I know there were some events in USA, so many people didn't came on their work.
Shutdown goes.
Oh yeah, there were some shutdown. I hope I'll go home today smoothly.
At which time do you have the return flight?
At 8 in in
Hey, Timur.
Hello, Dario. Nice to finally meet you on our community meeting.
It's the first time that I hear your voice. It's incredible.
Yes, I'm too. Not mine, but yours. This is technical progress.
Yeah, some poor Wi-Fi connection here as usual. I'll post that we are starting right now. Let's wait for a while.
To Timofey. A lot of Timofeys today.
That is AI fork.
Horizontal scaling of Timofey with Kubernetes.
Especially, I really like how AI works. It can actually scale me. Have you heard about a new feature of background tasks of Cursor? You can actually dedicate some routine to it.
I tried it last week. It's great, really great. I did a few scripts for parsing websites information. I'm not a developer. I studied Kotlin a few years ago, but I wasn't success on this path. But this cursor really works.
Okay, I'll post a link to this doc into the chat. Today's meeting will be hosted by Timofey because I have poor network connectivity here.
It's not much easier on my side. But
not much
we'll
people
give it a
get
shot.
joined. But yeah, I think we can start in a while, so people get joined later. As usual, they come later.
Yeah, okay, then let's get started. Welcome everyone to our next bi-weekly community meeting of the Cozystack community. Please add your names to the meeting notes. The link, do we have the link in the chat, Andrei?
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah. Somehow I cannot find the chat when I'm sharing the screen, but whatever. So if you are new here and if you would like to introduce yourself, now's the time.
I can be the first if you don't mind. So my name is Dario Tranquitella. Forget the surname. It's very hard, especially for Americans. And I am the creator of Kamaji and the main contributor. And it's part of Cozystack. It's the component creating the control planes. And today I'm also here. I've been invited to discuss about the gRPC shim, the gRPC adapter, call whatever you want, to let Talos Worker nodes joining a control plane empowered by Kamaji.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I'm glad to see you here.
Well, it so turns out that you're actually the first on our agenda. So I'd like to give the stage over to you. Tell us about this new stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do my best. So I don't think that we need to get the screen sharing unless Timofey, if you would like to go to the repository. And I'll share that essentially Talos has been considered, as usual, by the community, the best Linux distribution to run Kubernetes. And it perfectly shines for bare metal or edge devices. And its approach is very interesting because you all know better than me that essentially we don't have a shell access to a Talos node. And instead you're using gRPC. So it's perfect because we are very used to CLI, APIs, and yada, yada, yada. So in the anatomy of a Kubernetes cluster, we all know that we have the control plane and then we have the worker nodes. And Talos, of course, is taking care of the control plane. So the control plane must be provisioned, bootstrapped, and then the worker nodes can easily join. But the problem is that it doesn't work if you would like to use Kamaji, because in Kamaji, we are running the control plane components as pods. So it means that it's totally agnostic. We don't have a virtual machine. We don't have a bare metal instance. We face also the same issue with Kubespray, where the work to extract the CEA is essentially connecting to the first instance of the control plane and copying the certificate files in order to distribute to the worker nodes. And it's pretty similar also here with Talos, because with Talos, essentially, the worker node must connect to the APID endpoint. So APID endpoint, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm still learning here, is the endpoint where several gRPC services are exposed. And in the process of a worker node joining a control plane powered by Talos, but doesn't matter at all, essentially the worker node is sending, along with a token, the certificate signing request to join the Talos cluster. So in the end, once we have the CA signed, Talos worker node sets itself to listen only on TLS communication with the gRPC, as well also with other nodes using the mutual TLS communication. And once this has been set up, we can start the classical join of the control of the Kubernetes join to the control plane. But of course, this doesn't work with Kamaji because the API server exposed by Kamaji is just a vanilla Kubernetes cluster API server. So what we did was to expose in tandem. So I'm sorry for my Latinese. It means together with the API server port, also a shim, or rather a proxy, where we are replicating the same signing mechanism implemented by Talos. That required some announcements on Kamaji, because with Kamaji, we weren't allowing to expose additional ports. We were just creating the ports for the connectivity server and the API server. And since it's required to expose also the 50K port, 50K and one port, 50,001 port, if I recall correctly, yes, that one, essentially we needed to expose also these additional ports. So what we did was to contribute to Kamaji. It's part of our job. And also thanks to the proof of concept by Andrei, we implemented this gRPC server. And essentially we are mounting the CA. We generate a certificate with Cert Manager because this is expected to sit aside to the API server controlled by Kamaji. So we already have an implementation with Cert Manager. Of course, it's not mandatory. You can use whatever you want. But since we already have Cert Manager in the management cluster, it was way easier to get the CA, signing certificates, and so on and so forth. I face some minor issues regarding Cert Manager integration. Nothing serious, honestly, because Cert Manager is a bit strict in terms of validating the PEM block of the certificate of the certificate that we are getting from the Talos CTL. Generate CA. I don't remember the command, but it's in the documentation. Long story short, essentially, what we are doing is that in the end, the worker node, Talos worker node, can join easily this cluster. So we get the PKI for Talos, and then once it has been completed, the worker node starts the bootstrap process with the classic kubeadm join process. So essentially, we start the CSR process to get the kubelet certificates, and once we got the certificate, the kubelet service is started, and it's joining the cluster as a regular worker node. And that's all essentially. I also recorded a video. It's in the meeting agenda, and I followed all the documentation, all the guides, all the steps from the guides section of the repository. Should be docs. Yes, docs, and we have sidecar deployment or standalone deployment. Keep in mind that here we focus on Kamaji, of course, because we are the maintainers of Kamaji, but this is expected to work also for traditional Kubernetes clusters. So if you want to have the control plane maybe managed in a different way, so kubeadm, I know it's very weird, but you could do that. Control plane managed externally with Kamaji. We support sidecar, of course, but we are providing also a set of steps to install a demo set, like as we are doing with Kamaji. So essentially, we're exposing that using the same port, and famous last words, it's expected to work also for non-managed Kubernetes, non-managed Kamaji clusters. That's all from my side.
Thank you. I think it might be really useful if you're developing your own orchestrator for Kubernetes control planes. I know a few companies who actually do that. So in case if you're interested for using Talos Linux, this project might be also useful for you. I have a few questions, Dario, to your implementation. The first question is the token persistent, and we have one token which lasts for everything, for all the time of the cluster existing for adjoining the nodes.
Yes, that's correct. We're just using a single token for all the worker nodes. So it's hard-coded in the secret that we are mounting. We got the secret, which is containing the CA certificate and private key along with the token. So right now it's pretty similar to the kubeadm process, where you have a single token unless you're creating multiple kubeadm tokens.
Okay, thank you. The second question is, we use cluster API for provisioning the nodes. Do you think we need to contribute the similar changes for Kamaji control plane provider?
Yes, I haven't yet tested the cluster API implementation by Talos. I saw that essentially it's just a bootstrap process, if I understood correctly. So essentially, the infrastructure provider is always the same. You can use whatever you want. I mean, you can use the AWS, the vSphere, the OpenStack, the KeepBird infrastructure provider, and then you have the bootstrap provider, which is going to be Talos. And I'm expecting to get it working also because with Kamaji, essentially what we're doing is that we are just replacing the infrastructure provider with the Kamaji control plane, and we are not referencing anymore the infrastructure provider. The main issue I see here, unfortunately, is that you need to know in advance the IP address of the control plane. Because we need to create the certificate. And of course, you need to get the IP. So there is no yet a dynamic implementation with that. Our idea is that, of course, we are contributing to the open source, but our idea is that we could automate the development of these moving parts. So with a specific annotation, maybe we were thinking of a closed source implementation. We can easily create a certificate extracting the IP of the published load balancer for Kamaji.
Thank you.
Dario, I also have some questions. So, as I gather, what the core of this is the sidecar that runs on the Kamaji control plane, and it just knows how to speak to Talos worker nodes. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, you broke a bit, but it's my connection. Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, the core of this feature is the sidecar that runs next to the control plane, and it knows how to speak to a Talos worker node. So instead of serving these worker nodes with a real Talos control plane, you can serve them with the external CSR-signer and emulate what they would expect from the Talos control plane, right?
Yeah, exactly. I can tell you the user story. So essentially, as Classics, we are the company behind the open source project, Kamaji, and of course, we are trying to monetize with the open source. So we deal with customers' requirements, and one of these customers said, we would like to use Talos worker nodes because for the compliance, for the security, it's way easier for us. I'm not blaming the other Linux distributions, but it is what it is. At the same time, also, they were very intrigued by the Kamaji design because they face the control plane tax. It's something that sounds very marketing, but it's the reality. I mean, control plane, essentially, you need always free instances, and they add some constraints in terms of resource consumption. So Kamaji is very appealing for them because they say, I can optimize the resources, I can bin pack my workloads as control planes because we have more than, I don't remember the exact amount of clusters, but 30 clusters, more or less. So with that said, they said, we would like to use Talos worker nodes. So we are not happy about the distribution we are using. And we said, unfortunately, we can't do that. But after the discussion with Andrei and also the community, the solution stepped in. So with that said, yes, the project is just a sidecar. It can work also in standalone mode, but what we are going to do as Classics and also as Kamaji contributors is to keep this project alive and try to keep the parity also with the Talos Linux distribution version. So if we are going to have changes in the gRPC, we are going to update the project because we are expecting our customers to get it used in production. I don't know if I answered your question anyway.
Yeah, but so now that you've got a Talos worker, normally you've got the Talos endpoint. You talk to it via gRPC with mutual TLS, and you send instructions that you want your Talos machines configured in this or that way. But in the case of these Talos workers, running essentially standalone. They're pretty much headless, except for the certificate signer.
Yeah, it's
You're not going to configure them with talos-CTL, are you?
No, you can use talos-CTL to extract all the information. The main issue is that, of course, you have to do that one by one. If understood correctly, in talos-CTL, you can configure the endpoint, and essentially, if you're pointing to the control plane, you can redirect the commands also to the worker nodes. So it forms a sort of cluster. Right now, just for the sake of simplicity and to get it out as soon as possible, also to reach a broader audience and get feedback from the community, we release this approach. But if we see a good reception from the community, we could try to extend also the gRPC server to serve not just the certificates, but also the forwarding of the request to the further endpoints forming the cluster. Absolutely. It's something, if it's doable, of course. Maybe it could step up a way of doing things with Talos, but I mean, it's an open source project and any kind of feedback will be absolutely gold. Right now, the customer is okay to manage the worker nodes in headless.
I can explain a little bit. Talos itself has two services. One is API-ID, which is running on control planes, and it actually proxies all the Talos CTL requests to the workers. But you can use talos-CTL to access workers directly. All you need to do to have correct certificates signed by this specific trust-D service. It's a separate service. So actually in Talos, originally you have API-ID and trust-D. Trust-D is listening on 50,001 port and just handling the requests from the workers. So it's not go to the workers by itself. It's expecting connections from the workers, then signing their CSR, and we are done with that. The next step would be to move API-ID to another container, the similar way we did with trust-D.
Interesting. Well, thanks a lot for this brief talk. That looks really exciting. Okay. If there are no more questions to Dario and to Andrei, I suppose we could move on to the next item on our agenda. We have been working for the past week on the finishing touches to the VPC feature that Nikita presented on the last community meeting. It's not much, but it's a key feature for users, so they can actually, so they could actually see their VPCs and subnets and know how to configure them, how to connect their virtual machines to them. We're about to make a pre-release this evening or maybe tomorrow morning, depending on who's in which time zone. Basically, we were developing the dashboard a little bit, and now we can expose some parameters of the subnets of a given VPC in a somewhat more human-readable way. I'm hoping that we will, by the time that we have a full minor release ready, this will look a little bit better. But right now, it is finally usable without having to have administrator access to some Cozystack primitives, without having to still unpin the console. There's finally all the necessary information that you need inside the dashboard itself. And Besides, there is also a patch release being formed right now, and that will be out at the latest after the end of the meeting, I think. So, Andrei, do you think you can present the new VNC console?
Yeah, I think I can do that. Please give me share permissions. You need to disconnect your screen right now, and
Yeah, there it is.
I can demonstrate it. All I need to do is find my. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we see it.
Awesome. So that's one of the oldest requests to let connect to our virtual machines provisioned by Cozystack using VNC console. Thanks to new dashboard, which is based on OpenUI project, we just contributed a new feature which is called VNC console. This VNC console works right through the web interface, so you can connect to your virtual machines. You can manage some options like to show cursor or change scaling mode, or even send Control-Alt-Del to the machine. This one should be really useful, so you don't need to use virtual now to connect your virtual machine. It will be available right through your web browser. The next step would be to also implement serial console here. But I think we will implement this a little bit later. So now this feature looks like this. I think we will push it to the next minor release. Hopefully we will cut it out, at least alpha or beta on this week. Thank you.
Okay, if there isn't any more questions about this, we still have plenty of time and we can move on to the open floor. Andrei, I guess you have some input about decomposing Cozystack and moving the system and user-facing applications to GitRepositories instead of baked-in asset servers.
Yeah, let me share my screen again. We are still working on decomposing Cozystack. We want to make a Cozystack framework where you could be able to connect your own set of applications. The idea is to provide every vendor opportunity to perform specific repository which every user could connect, every administrator user could connect to their Cozystack. In fact, preparing such repositories quite simple. We already have external apps example, which I presented on the previous meetings. The main idea that you define Cozystack resource definition, which describes the open API spec for your application, where to take specific settings, how it should be named, and which category it should belong. And then it will appear in, then user could install it with these two YAML files in this documentation. So they just connect it through the Flux CD resources like GitRepository and Talm release. And it will automatically appear in the dashboard. So you can see MongoDB here. Here are parameters for the user, which they can change and actually deploy MongoDB in the cluster. The idea is to move out all of this in-tree stuff to specific Git repositories, or even maybe keep them in tree for a while and move them later. First, I want to move this EAS, PAS, and NAS stuff to have this as various options which can be included. I think some part of the applications we will still develop in tree because they are very difficult to control externally, but we want to have this opportunity to the users to install Cozystack and have a totally empty dashboard. So they could configure their set of applications just by connecting external repositories. Right now, we serving all of this stuff by internal Cozystack Access server. So it's actually HTTP server with Helm releases running inside of the Cozystack itself. I have an idea to actually change it a little bit and configure Cozystack itself to use Git repository as a main asset where to install, where it can discover available applications and provide it to the users. Some thoughts about that? Any feedback appreciated?
Yeah. On one hand, it's really cool that you can, just configure your entire installation through references reaching out to GitHub. And I'm sure every Go developer knows and loves this concept. But I guess there would be some concerns maybe about security, about how you pin your versions. What happens if someone updates the main branch in the repository, or if someone deletes and updates a Git tag. And also but that's just one part of the story. Also, what I really want like to do is, throw out the baby with the water, because it's really nice how right now a lot of the stuff in Cozystack is self-contained. As you know, we did a lot of work to enable air gap installations where they might be needed. And it's still not there yet, and this is a step away. So at the when you completely pull Cozystack apart as just references to external Git repositories, this is gonna get even harder.
Yeah, that's true. Right now, for air gap installations, we have the single dependency, which is actually Docker registry. In case if we will switch to this Git model, we will need to add additional dependency with a Git repository. But I think the companies who are running actually some environment in air gap, they can actually provide some Git repository. We can also leverage it with shipping our own Git repository as a container, or we can provide various options. For example, one of the options was to use OCI instead of Git repository, but I like Git repository because it's self-contained. It can be bundled actually. The main idea of Cozystack are bundles. We provide a ready configuration of the components which will work together. With OCI, you have versioning per each, I think, chart, and it might be difficult to control it. As about versions management, right now we switch to the model when we have versions stuck to all the components. So if you install virtual machine in latest version of Cozystack, it will have the same version as Cozystack installed on the environment. In case if we will decompose it to have various Git repositories, they will be versioned the same way by the version of Git repository. If you're talking about the default bundles like EAS, PAS, and NAS, they can be still bundled and developed in tree, and they can be actually configured to install from the specific Git tag. That can be done by the configuration of Git repository. So you can specify ref not branch, but specific tag. And the idea is to provide such a resource for the Cozystack installed by default. Any other thoughts?
Sounds good. Thank you, Andrei.
Thank you. And we have one more topic to discuss is Talm Web UI. I guess, Ivan, you added it. Could you please introduce it?
Yeah, thank you. So the main idea is create a system which supports more interactive mode for managing of multiple Kubernetes clusters based on Talos. Yeah, from side there we have some tools, graphic tools to Mac or something else devices, but we cannot have visual interface for the phone, etc., etc., and we cannot managing multiple.
So the idea is to manage nodes of management Cozystack cluster with additional web UI. We've discussed that previously that we wanted to have some kind of Talos operator which will configure the nodes themselves and specify update images and do some stuff like that. That sounds like some project. I think I would say that like external project which can be installed and integrated in Cozystack, because I don't really want to strictly tie on Talos itself. We have users who run it on Ubuntu. So first idea, it should be optional component. The second thing, it would be nice to have it as a separate project. If we talk about,
we can create, we
if
can
we
create
talk
the
about,
tool.
yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead, Ivan.
To create multiple additional functionalities to Talos, and with it we can, for example, install the Cozystack using the one button. So we can create the Talos cluster with the Kubernetes by itself, and we can create the Cozystack cluster inside this UI for creating Cozystack and configure it.
That sounds like Omni, like already existing enterprise product from Cider Labs. I don't really think that they will be glad about that, but well, hell, why not? It is possible to implement some functionality like that. I would consider something which already existing as a basic design, collect the things they have and they don't have, and write some initial design for this feature. But I think the most important stuff right now is to give simplicity to deploy the nodes itself. I really like idea of storing configuration in Git, and I would be really glad if this configuration management will be strictly connected to the Git. My design is to have a simple GUI interface, terminal UI, to help users generate the configuration. that might be a starting point, and later we can consider adding something more if we will really need it. So I think the main goal of this input was if somebody from the community interested in implementing such functionality, not exactly for Cozystack, but maybe try themselves in writing Go code or web coding, just let us know. We will guide you, connect with Ivan to talk about the initial design for this. Thank you. Do we have any other topics to discuss? Okay, let's take a look at pull requests. We probably don't have some pull requests to review, or maybe Timofey, would you like to tell a little bit about this pull request for fixing lists?
Yeah, sure, why not? Really, this was really a nightmare. For some reason, I do not. Oh, because it was merged already. Yeah, I've just finished today. So as it turns out, our dynamic API server, when it registers all the different various kinds of applications under their different group version kinds, and let me open the pull requests.
You're not sharing.
Actually,
you're not sharing.
Yeah,
you're not sharing.
I'm
the
not
screen.
sharing because you're sharing.
Please take this button and share by yourself.
Yeah. Let's see. Maybe if I share the entire screen, it should. Yes, I think it works fine. Good. Yeah. So when we're registering all the dynamic types in the Cozystack API server, the schema that actually takes the arguments to register, it expects a Kubernetes type, some kind of struct satisfying a runtime object to register against. And because the underlying type for all of our dynamic applications was just a single generic application type with some necessary fields for us, from the point of view of the schema, all of the group version kinds, be it Postgres, Kubernetes, Redis, you name it, they were all registered as a single generic application struct. And we thought that was okay because normally you get the right objects returned to you when you run kubectl, and but last evening I noticed that if you turn up the verbosity and actually look at the response you're getting from the API server, you're trying to list, for instance, Kubernetes, and instead you're getting bootbox lists or bucket lists in the kind of the list. So that was a lot of work to fix up our open API schema and transition to using unstructured objects as much as possible. So there's a lot of disgusting stuff here, such as parsing in unstructured objects, using unstructured converters and whatnot. But I spent a few hours of last night trying to figure out how to use Go's reflection library to dynamically create distinct struct types which have like the same underlying functionality but would reflect into different types. So that was a lot of fun.
There were no answers. Am I right?
There kind of is, but not quite. You can absolutely create dynamic types in Golang. The only problem is that you will no longer have access to the methods of the original struct. And if you don't have access to the methods of the original struct, it no longer satisfies the runtime object interface, and you cannot register it with the runtime schema anymore. So yeah,
Funny
so that
stuff.
was exciting. Dynamic typing in Golang. What would you know? But yeah.
What was the most important change to change lists to the correct type?
The most important change is exposing the raw unstructured type, not even the unstructured list, and explicitly accessing, let me see here somewhere, I'm sure we'll have it. Or what explicitly sets in its the underlying object, which is a map string interface, and its items field to items. And there's really a million places where it could break down. Once I thought everything is running, I found out that I can no longer print out tables. If I get something in JSON form, everything works fine. If I want to just print it as a table, suddenly I have nameless objects without namespaces, which are 292 years old, pretty much like that. So that took a lot of work, and I still don't think we're fully conformant with the standards expected in Kubernetes, but at least now we're getting the right kinds. But along the way, we actually cleaned up the schema a lot and separated out the schema of the client that the Cozystack API uses to get the conventional Kubernetes resources from the schema that it sets up to actually serve its own types. So not only have we hopefully got rid of a lot of transient bugs and broken connections and whatnot, and also made the OpenAPI schema a bit cleaner, the one that's returned by our server. And I hope that it will be all a lot faster now.
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you. By the way, I heard some feedback from OpenUI guys. They say that even internal Kubernetes objects have various convenience about how to show these list types. For example, core resources have different format from apps version 1 resources. They have actually different lists. Some of them include metadata, some of them are not include. That's a weird and horrible stuff of Kubernetes.
Yeah, lots of fun. And it's also a reminder that all of the controller runtime stuff, all of the API machinery stuff in Kubernetes is not considered stable. All of the stuff is in version 0.31 or whatever, and there's to-dos all over the place suggesting that this or that should be turned into an interface. You know what? If you had turned it into an interface, I wouldn't have spent eight hours of the night doing this bullshit.
Yeah.
Kubernetes
don't really like dynamic nature, but we can see it in many projects. For example, Talm, they're also using this unstructured stuff a lot. All right, then. Thank you for this change. Let's take a look at issues.
Yeah, we do have issues. In fact, we've got a community contribution. Let me find it. It should be somewhere here. So we've got a pull request opened up recently to fix up the distro full bundle. that is kind of neglected and not really kept in sync with all the dependencies, especially because we keep saying that we're going to phase it out soon, we're going to deprecate it, but it's still here with us. So that is one thing to look at. Andrei, what do you think?
I think we need to ask the user about their user story, why and how they use this distroful bundle, or how they expecting to use it. And to get this in a note when we'll design deprecation of distroful bundle. Because it seems to me that new system with Git repositories, with external Git repositories, will handle that as a charm.
I think so too, but we have said that many times, and yet it's still here. So
yeah,
I think when you have a bit more time, when you come back from KubeCon and have time to look at this properly, maybe next week we can decide what to do with this.
All right, you can assign it to me, I think.
Okay, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow morning. And now let's look at the issues.
Probably,
so,
yeah, this one. It seems
interesting.
About modification for cluster name, is it?
No, it's a modification just in the generated kubeconfig. Because if you're using several kubeconfigs at the same time, which is possible if you define your kubeconfig string as, say, a string of colon separated paths, then the unified kubeconfig will have several identical users. And so you will not be able to properly select which cluster you want to administer.
All right. That seems like bug of Kamaji, is it?
Is Dario still with us?
No, he left already. I think I can send this issue to him to take a look at this. Another thing about that we had plans to implement IDC support to user clusters, and I think that feature might be enabled by default. But either we still support deployment without OEDC, and that might be still useful here.
Yeah. In any case, yeah, I think this is still a bug, and we should report it upstream.
Yeah, it should be reported upstream.
Okay. Any
Hey guys,
more?
can we take a quick look at the issue with the number 1441? I saw it being discussed in the community chat, and it is about root ingress or something. Yes, this one.
All right, we had some handler for that already. Do you remember, Timofey, you were introducing the option like for default behavior for all services? Should it use external traffic policy local or not? No, it was for allocating ports for the load balancer services. I think it can be extended also to provide this opportunity.
Yeah, let me see if I have anything. I think it was about allocating node ports. Yeah, I remember. But right now, I actually do not have anything.
We have it in Talm library, and it automatically switched if Hetzner load balancer enabled.
Okay, it's in Hetzner, is it? Maybe in the cozy lib charts, right?
The option is called allocate load balancer, something like that.
Ah, okay. Yeah. It's called disable load balancer node ports. Got it.
So I think
And
if this option needs to be set globally, we can implement something like that.
yeah, indeed.
We also have external traffic policy cluster set by default if we use external IPs. I think we need to hide this magic and how's it called, to make it more intentional, the behavior more intentional or explicit.
Yeah, you're right. So it's in the Nginx chart, and and it's most likely somewhere managed by the extra chart then.
Please assign this issue on me and I'll take a look on this. Thank you. Do we have any other questions from the community right now? In this way, I'm going once, twice, and thank you everyone for attending our community meeting. See you in 2 weeks. If somebody on KubeCon Atlanta right now, please pin me in Telegram. Let's meet together.
Andrei, Pasha Filkenstein just wrote to our community, and he would like to say you hi on KubeCon. So,
all right. Thank you. I'll reach him out.
Okay.
Thanks,
See you
guys.
and have a good day.
In that case, have a good evening and see you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good morning, Andrei.